Welcome to the Quirky Quilters, and today we're going to talk about how to evaluate your business at the end of the year. So, Kathy, would you like to talk?
Always. Well, good afternoon. How are you guys doing this morning or this afternoon? Sorry.
Doing great. How are
We're
you?
doing good.
Doing good. Little verklempt, but that's okay. That's what happens in my world. End of the year is it's a big time to sit down, reevaluate. Um, we call it counting season in our store. Because you're probably doing the same thing with inventory to make sure your beginning inventory is or the inventory that you have on your books is the same what's on the shelf.
Mhm.
That's surprising how much that changes, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it
Right.
is. And depending on how big your business is and how it's set up, you may or may not have to do inventory. This
Mhm.
is actually my first year doing inventory. So yay. So we have to count everything in the store. So not for the end of this year, but for the beginning of next year.
Mhm.
And then from then on, once you start doing inventory, you have to keep doing it. So my accountant kept me
It's
from
the
doing it
joy.
until I had to do it.
Mhm.
And now I have thousands of Elno parts I have to count. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
The good news is those just came in a couple days ago, and you don't have to count as many. Like we were counting patterns last night till 8 o'clock, so we
Yeah,
have to finish that, and then we'll move on to fabric. Fabric is a whole nother thing to count. Do you count it by weight? Do you count it by folds? Do you count it by inches? It's just an amazing thing to look at, and not. It's just a great thing to evaluate on how you're going to count or how you're going to. I think everybody, no matter if you're in your basement or
yeah,
um in a big old gigantic store, you have to figure out how you're going to evaluate and look at what you actually have left in your business because it is an important thing.
it is. And here's the thing, Kathy just came up with 3 ways to count fabric. There are probably more.
Mhm.
So this is also going to be something that that's important is that you need to have a tribe around you,
Mhm.
right? So Kathy and I are both members of groups of stores, right? That and Jake, obviously, all 3 of us are members of groups of stores. I meant Fabric Bash, right? Is a member, and Threadwaggle is a member, right?
Mhm.
Um, so we all talk about, our POS systems, how we inventory
Point of
stuff,
sale, point of
point of
sale.
sale, right? Our how we inventory things, right? What online stores we're using, what
Mhm.
websites we're using as our backbones for our systems,
Mhm.
what we're using when we're doing Facebook lives, I mean, you need to have a tribe with you, right?
Mhm.
So and you need to find your tribe if you haven't found it and you're running a especially a store, right?
Mhm.
But even as a long armor,
Mhm.
you should have other long armors that you are talking to so that you can do find out what price per inch is and you can find out, like something happens to a quilt and you
Mhm.
need some suggestions on how you can fix it, right?
Mhm.
So other professionals doing the same thing that you are. And in our case, our professionals when we're running a store may not be fabric stores. You're going to learn a lot from other fabric store people, but you can learn a lot from, toy shops and cooking shops and all other kinds
Mhm.
of shops. So don't when you're looking for your mastermind group, don't just look at your own industry, look at other industries as well.
Mhm.
Okay? But I mean, and I just thought of it when she was saying it because it's important that you
Mhm.
understand how to run your business, right? And that the accounting side of it, which, counting things, inventorying and stuff, we all have to do. And our accountants are going to tell us what they want, right?
Mhm.
To an extent. Um, and that's not really what we were thinking about for this talk, right? It was more what you do to keep your business healthy at the end of every year. Just
Absolutely.
like how you keep your relationships healthy and your marriage healthy and everything else. What do you need to do to grow that business, right? And
Mhm.
make sure that you are always looking forward and always steering your business and not letting it steer you. Um, and I think that's really important, right? So
Mhm.
after all the accounting is done, because that has to be done, your accountant's
Mhm.
going to demand it be done by a certain date. The IRS is going to demand it, it be done by a certain date, right? When you have everything and you've turned it over to your accountant, you have a little bit of lull usually in in January, or at least I do, at least a couple days.
Mhm.
And what do I do in that time that can make a huge impact on my business every year,
Right.
right? So, and that's going to come down to reevaluating what you did last year, which is what we've been doing with the Quilting Academy, right?
Right.
And planning on what you can do better this year.
Right.
So, yeah,
The
maybe
Go ahead.
preventing some pitfalls. Maybe
Well, you can always the thing about starting a business and running a business, no matter your in your basement making t-shirt quilts for somebody, or you're a multi-million dollar company, you got to be willing to try new things and not be afraid of failure, because failure does not mean that not failure something is not working correctly because
Yeah,
something is not working correctly does not mean you have failed in your business. It means you
true.
tried something and it's just not working. We need to move forward and try something new. And this time of year is a great time to sit back and reflect.
Yeah. Or just being, it may be working fine, but it may not be the best solution for you,
Mhm.
right? So instead of just grinding it through and keeping something that's not your perfect solution,
Mhm.
like figure out it's not your perfect solution and find a new way, right?
Right. Right. Um Also too, the importance of that having your tribe, your accountant is part of your tribe.
Hmm.
Your maybe you have some SEO, or you have taken some SEO courses, or learning how to deal with Facebook, Google, all of that stuff. Those are part of what you need to put into your arsenal to help you grow, to change a little bit. This is like I will honestly say probably our first year of actually reevaluating a normal year.
Hmm.
Because when we started business, it was 2019, and soon happened COVID. And since then, it has been crazy. Right, Jake? Don't you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I mean, from just ordering fabric is a big thing for us, and it being delayed and getting dumped on us, and then there was like a shortage of fabric where
Mhm.
stuff wasn't coming in, or even sewing
Hmm.
machines, you couldn't get your hands on those. So I feel like Kathy said, this year is finally a year where kind of that has all kind of leveled out, where if you order something, you're going to get it on time, you're going to get it in a reasonable amount of time, so it doesn't throw your whole budget off for like that month or whatever. So yeah, it will be interesting reflecting on this year and seeing what we can do different next year.
I think 2024 for us is going to be more proactive instead of reactive. And I feel like even with the Quilting Academy and the Quirky Quilters, we were more reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah, I think that was partly from it being new, right? Is that
Mhm.
it we didn't know it was going to take off the way it did, and we didn't we we just had no idea going into it. We wanted to do it, and then we still want to do it,
Mhm.
but it was just new, right?
Right.
So, Kathy, what's the one thing you wish you had brought into your business, into your tribe sooner?
Um, that's a good one. There's
Yeah,
many. I would have to say our financial advisor.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
would
our
agree on
financial
that one.
yeah, yeah, our financial advisor, if she told me to walk off the edge of the earth, I would do it because it would be good. So, I'm being exaggerating here, but she's just it's somebody that has helped our business, who has taken the emotion out of our business and look strictly at the numbers, which has helped us look strictly at the numbers.
Right.
Right. Right. Now,
And you can still be passionate about your business, right?
right.
But when you're looking at the numbers, you can go, okay, so maybe I shouldn't have bought that fabric line,
Well, for
right?
Cathy
Okay,
and
I see what
Jacob, it was a
you're talking
trailer. We shouldn't have bought a trailer.
about.
Oh, impulse purchases must be budgeted.
Gonna
Right.
say I learned a lot about that trailer, but that's all. It is gonna propel us forward, so it's gonna be great.
Long term, it's going to be fine, right?
Right,
Short
right.
term, maybe we should have delayed that purchase. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear that conversation happening between you and your financial advisor.
So the
So,
same goes for
yeah.
you because you have great things that are happening. You changed on a dime this last October when you purchased Elna.
Yeah. So I can truthfully say the one thing that I wish I would have added years ago is a marketing manager.
Mhm,
Like, you can't do it all. As much as we think we can, we can't.
mhm,
So I wish I had brought someone in and had them doing my social media and doing my advertising for me. And I love doing all that stuff. It's very creative and it feeds my soul to an extent. But it is also really nice to say, hey, we need a new intro for this. Can you just make that for me? Right.
mhm,
And trust him to make it and for it
mhm,
to be fine. Um, that is the one thing I wish I would have taken off my plate even before I bought a store, even before I opened my store.
mhm.
Um, as a long arm quilter, I could have completely afforded to have him, and I would be so far ahead of where I am now had I done it.
Right. Yeah, it's those retrospectives looking back of what I would have had from the
Yeah.
beginning.
I mean, and I'm not upset where my company is. My company is doing great, guys. That's not what I'm saying. I just wouldn't be quite as stressed out as I am.
Mhm.
Like, I'd be able to relax in the moment a little bit more
Right.
and enjoy where my company is,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, so yeah, and yes, my company's growing. I made a huge decision during market. I'd been thinking it's not like that was not an impulse decision, guys, just so you know, but I took the steps to walk up and do it during market. And
So it
was
must have
surprised
been in
at
your
how easy it was.
I think it was in your gray matter for a long time and not actually verbalized, so that's why I thought it was an impulse kind of.
Yeah, it was not an impulse.
Good.
No, it was yeah, it's not something I talked about with anybody. Um,
Well,
I
Matt.
well, no, Matt had no idea. Matt's not part of my business. My husband's not part of my business. So I talk about things with my board. Matt is not on the board for my business. Um, but yeah, he had no idea. I did talk it out with him before I did it because there's a chance that he might have to invest in the business
Mhm,
to, you know, because there's bills that are going to come due, right?
mhm,
Um, and he's like, yeah, not a problem. He would tell you if that he's not worried about me and my business. My business runs itself and does just fine, and that he doesn't need to make decisions for me. But I did run it by when we were at market and talk about it and say, this is what I'm about to do. This is the brand I'm thinking about. This is why. And just making sure that he didn't see any holes in my planning. Because sometimes if you've been thinking about things for a long time, you romanticize it a little bit too,
right.
right? So getting a
All
perspective
right.
of somebody who is not part of my business, because everybody else was going, do it. You're right. I'm talking to a bunch of quilt shop owners and they're like, go, 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 go. That's a problem too. And okay, I'm going to be honest. At the Shannon Fabrics booth, there was a whole big group of us that were walking
Yes.
around and talking. That particular booth had a really, really good afternoon because all of us bought
For
and we
sure.
all bought what everybody else bought. Um,
Okay.
oh, and let there be light. So,
Mhm,
Fact.
there's that side of it too, that when you are at market and you are walking around with other cold stores, you're going to feed into that energy too,
mhm.
right? And so that's something that I'm looking back at it, and it actually was a really good decision for me personally, to do what I did, but I could have done it later too, right?
Right.
Didn't need to do it right that moment, but glad I did it too.
Right.
So yeah, so that's things to think about when you're doing stuff. So come January 1st, when my accountant has my books, and this is my goal, the minute I get those statements for the end of December, I balance my books, close my books, and hand it to my accountant. She's usually got it by like the 3rd or the 4th of January. Um,
Mhm.
I just want my year over and I want to start the new year fresh. Okay, so I get everything done really quick. And then I sit down and I usually take over our dining room table and I lay out my business plan
Oh,
every
wow.
year. Like
Good for
I go over my
you.
business plan, what I said in the beginning. I don't go through every year, right? But I what my plans were for Threadwaggle way back when I first started it, what they were when I opened my store, and then the last couple years, what was my plan? Did I meet my goals and am I on the right trajectory? And then I sit down and I plan out what I want to do this year, what my goals are for like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, all the way up to 5 years. And then I do skip and do 10, 15, right? But I have short term goals that I want to meet and long term goals. And
Mhm.
Threadwaggle isn't just my showroom, right? It's also, the education that I do for Quilt Path, and it's a bunch of Facebook groups that I lead, and it's the Quilting Academy, and it's the Quirky Quilters, right? So all of the things that I see us doing, and then I need to talk to my partners like Cathy and Jake and say, what are we doing so I can incorporate that into my plan, which
Mhm.
we talk on a regular basis. It's not a problem. But then Cathy and I are members of some bigger groups too. Like we just premiered a new Quilt Path group on Facebook called Quilt Path Central that we're both in with
With some
9 other
fab
reps.
with right, very fabulous moderators that we
Yeah.
we figured out that we could not spread so thin, so brought in more.
Mhm. And that's also part of I need to let go of some of the control of Quilt Path, right? I need to we have incredible educators for Quilt Path,
Mhm.
and they are going to come up with the most awesome ideas as a group because they're working
Mhm.
as a group, right?
Mhm.
So that was kind of my plan for 2023. It's actually on my business plan for last year, not the name, but having a group that was being led by a team of APQS Quilt Path educators was something that I put on my business plan last year.
Fabulous.
So sneaking it in under the wire,
There you
right? Or
go.
I did sneak it in under the wire in 2023 because it's now 2024. Um, but yeah, plans for that group will be on there too, right? So that I don't lose focus of what I want to do. And then I go into my planner and I write things that I need to know for certain months of the year, right? So it's take that big plan that I have, break it down into little microbites and plan it out for the year. So I am a huge planner person. I'm very analytical and I need to see things in writing.
And she has lots of colored markers.
I do. I like flare pens in case I'm like a teacher. I like flare pens and I like many colors. My planner has to be fun or I'm not going to look at it.
So
Um,
whenever
but
we
yeah,
go to whenever we go to market and we're getting ready to go to schoolhouse, we all sit down and she brings out all her markers and we just play with Angela's markers.
yeah. So we were deciding what we wanted and I'm like, here's colored markers for everybody. I had them in my backpack, but yeah, I've always got one near me. Just saying, this one happens to be pretty blue. Always, always, always.
Hey
But
Jake, can
yeah,
you
so yeah, and that works for me. But someone who is not as analytical as I am may not want to go as deep into stuff as I do either,
right?
right? Because you've got to do it in a way that it works for you and your business, and you can overplan, right?
Or you could fly by the seat of your pants, which I would probably say either one needs there's a happy medium.
I think, yeah. I think the happy medium is probably the healthier way to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because yeah, it's not, yeah, I can get very anxious about what I'm doing, right? So yeah.
Mhm. Hey Jake, what about to reevaluate the why you're doing your business? What does that mean kind of?
To reevaluate why you're doing your business.
The why. Who are you? What are you? Why are you doing this business? Why did you the why,
The
right?
why.
Mhm.
So why we're doing this is I am my second oldest son Nathan has some issues. So he has hydrocephalus. So we're always reevaluating. So how do we grow this to support him as well as support Kathy's daughter Maggie as well? Um, just grow it to support them for years to come. Grow this to be a family business. This has always been a family business for us, but to continue that, get more family involved.
Mhm.
So what do we? Yeah, just looking at what we did, what worked, maybe what didn't work. What could we do differently to maybe make that work? Um, like Kathy said, if you something didn't work, doesn't mean you failed. It just may mean that you need to rethink how you did it, maybe, and maybe it'll work the next time. If you do have something that doesn't work, don't completely take it off your list and never do it again, because that
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's not going to work. Maybe even a couple years down the road.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so
I think it's important to remember your why of what you're doing your business for and to reflect on that and take some time for that because we've just recently been talking about our story several times. We have something that we can't wait to talk about here soon that was just happened. And um, it's not always easy to tell your story. I always feel a little bit weird talking about our story like we're doing right now, kind of. But your why, I think, also needs to be, and it can change. It doesn't always have to be the same. I mean, Nathan is part of our why right now, and our family business is part of our why. But things for Nathan will change and things for my daughter will change. So to reevaluate your why at the beginning of the year is a very important thing to do because it could change,
Well,
right?
and you just lose focus on it,
Right.
right? I mean, my why, I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to have my own business, right? And it, that's not my focus anymore. But when I first started it, I wanted to work out of my house. I didn't want to go back into the tech field. And I think that's funny, isn't it?
Karma, karma.
Yeah. And it was a way for me to be able to work from home. And then I opened a store. What was I thinking? Right? My why has completely changed. And that's okay. It's
And
grown and it's
and it
become its own thing. And that's fine as long as I am okay with what it's become.
Mhm.
Right?
I think it's just it's amazing to sit back and reflect on this last year, the past few years where you were, where you've gone to. It can be very overwhelming. We were just like I said, part of this. I can't wait to show you all. We were interviewed and still sitting in front of big old cameras, big old lights, asking about things, and you still get this emotional, like it just overwhelmed me on a few things. So but we forget to take care of to look at that sometimes and to reevaluate, to focus. So this is a great time of the year. Also a great time of the year, as I think what we have also done, Angela, in reevaluating Quirky Quilters and the Quilting Academy, is to make sure you take time for yourself in your business.
I haven't been real good with that, have I?
We have been terrible at
So
it.
yeah. So you need to enjoy your business. If you're running a business,
Mhm.
you need to find joy in it. If you're not finding joy in it, then you need to figure out why and you need to change things so you are
Mhm.
because you're the one in control. And for us, we also need to look at our staff and say, are they finding joy in what they're doing? Are
Right.
they fulfilled? Are are you meeting their financial, needs? Are you meeting their, just their work needs, but more their whole person needs, right? So yeah, this time of year, I'm always talking to my staff and going, what do you need from me? Right.
Right.
Um, and yes, we do. This is when we also reevaluate pay for my staff.
Right.
So yeah, but
Absolutely.
also just little things like my whole staff went out to dinner together,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
I'm grateful for my staff and I wanted us all to spend some time as a team. We don't
Mhm.
get to do very much team building. And leaving the restaurant, oh, they all were like, we need to do this more often.
Mhm.
Okay, so I am not meeting a need for my staff,
Mhm.
right? So I'm like, okay, even if we need to shut the showroom down to do a team building event, we need to do something at least once a quarter.
Mhm.
That I got that message, right? They weren't even saying, do more for us. It was, we need to work on our team, right?
Mhm.
So I got that message, and it's valid.
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, you're good. I think all of that, and I would say for the person who's working out of their home, out of their basement, that they don't have a store, that you need to find your group of people, whether it is a local business group that you're the only quilter in the business. It doesn't mean you have to be the same business, but
Right.
that you can verbalize some of your goals. And sometimes I feel me saying them and me hearing them in my own voice back into my ear makes it real. Maybe writing it down makes it real for you. Find that thing that makes it real for you, but find that group of people that you can. There's small business groups all over your city. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
And to find that and work together, talk to each other, hear some great ideas. So I think it's a fantastic thing to think about.
Well, and get out of your basement every once in a while. Like, I'm an introvert. I could live in my basement and be perfectly fine. But one of the funny things was, Cathy suggested that we do a live, with all the new moderators of this group we're doing. And like 4 people immediately said, "We'll even put a clean shirt on and makeup for you." And I'm like, "They're my people. Like, these are my people, right?" I'm like,
And then
yeah,
there's Kathy going, "Let's get out there. Let's get out
let's get out
there."
there. Let's just get on the camera. It'll be great. And I'm like, no, before I get on the camera, I need to do my hair and my makeup. It needs to happen. Um, and yeah, it you need to get out of the basement every once in a while. You do, for your well-being. Even if you think you're perfectly happy down there,
Mhm.
um, you still need to have some social interaction. And my thing was, the only thing I was doing was working. Matt would come home, and we would do stuff as a couple, like watch TV or whatever, right?
Mhm.
But we weren't really going out with groups and stuff either. So it was completely centered around my business for a couple years, and that's not healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
I think we gave some great advice for everybody. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I think so.
Jake's like, we promise
Just
we're gonna
smiling
pull it
nod.
out. We're gonna pull Jake out. It's
He's going to be great. He's got a lot of Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this young man here loves to talk to people. We have all seen it and we all laugh when he does because he's fabulous. So,
And Cathy and I are aware that it's very hard to jump in and add anything when the two of us are talking.
oh, for
Yes.
sure.
But he can, trust me, he's done it before. He can do it.
He's going to be a great add to the group here. Again, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Let us know what you thought of the conversation and how it helped you or where we need to fill in the holes because we reevaluate every podcast probably and think about how we can make it better.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, share, comment, all of that stuff helps us. And as a matter of fact, any small business that you like to support, one of the best things you can do is on their Facebook and on their Instagram is like and share, and it's free.
Yeah.
So keep that up because that helps small businesses out immensely. And every time you do that, I get great excitement and happiness in my little heart when it happens. So, all right, guys, you have a fabulous rest of your day.
Mhm.
You as well.
Bye.
And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.